3. Sinister True Close Encounters that revealed haunted secrets of the unexplained and cursed. The phone rang again, a shrill sound that sliced through the stillness of Sarah's small apartment. She staggered out of her half-dazed sleep. Not again, she muttered, her heart pounding wildly. The unknown number flashed on the screen, and an icy creepiness slid down her spine. This wasn't a prank. It couldn't be. No one's safe here, Sarah, the voice had whispered last night, sending a rush of dread coursing through her body. Now, it taunted her, curling around her thoughts and settling in the pit of her stomach. Maplewood's safe streets weren't as secure as they seemed, and she felt that crawling sensation of fear creeping closer. Brushing off a veil of exhaustion and rubbing her eyes, she pushed away the thought. With 2 kids depending on her, Sarah couldn't let fear take root. As she brewed coffee, the memories of her day at the diner rushed back. Giggling, happy families filling the booths felt like a different world. But something was off. The Petersons, the picture-perfect family she babysat for, hadn't been themselves. Their laughter faded like the light from the setting sun. The children seemed haunted, eyes wide and pleading. It gnawed at her, a gut feeling that wouldn't relent. It was only a few nights ago that she had dropped them home and noticed the shadows lurking behind the curtains. The calls had worsened, detailing not just one family's oddities but whispering of dark histories entwined with Maplewood itself. One included the Petersons' house, a place tied to tragic events decades before. As she lifted her mug to her lips, a wave of nausea swept over her. All those stories, they couldn't be mere coincidence. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Fearful curiosity gripped her. With her heart thudding against her ribs, she resolved to uncover the truth. The next night, under a blanket of darkness, she crept into the Petersons' backyard, her hands trembling with fear and resolve. The house stood looming, shadows dancing around it as if warning her to turn back. The basement door creaked open, revealing a chill that seeped deep into her bones. The moment her eyes adjusted, they widened at the sight. There, hidden beneath decades of dust and secrets, lay a trove of artifacts, old photographs of missing persons, newspaper clippings of scandals that made her blood run cold. The web connecting it all, the familiar faces of her neighbors, the quiet authorities, it sent shivers racing down her spine. Just as dread settled solidly within her, Sarah sensed it, a feeling of eyes on her, watching, waiting. Time stalled, and every heartbeat echoed, loud in her ears. The truth she uncovered was swirling with danger, dragging her toward the unfathomable. What if she spoke out? What if she kept silent? Tears prickled her eyes. This was not the reality she envisioned for her children's future. Each second felt like shattered glass underfoot. As she turned toward the exit, a figure emerged from the shadows, masking intentions too dark to articulate. Sarah gasped, her breath caught in her throat. The culmination of every secret loomed before her, wiping away the last shred of the life she once thought secure. Would she turn back into the safety of her home or plunge deeper into the abyss of unraveling Maplewood's truths? The phone rang again as she stood frozen, its sinister voice beckoning her back into the darkness. What lay ahead she couldn't predict. The figure stepped forward, wrapped in shadows that clung to it like a second skin. Every instinct screamed at Sarah to bolt, to flee, but she remained paralyzed, her body betraying her. The voice from the phone echoed ominously in her mind, "No one's safe here, Sarah. Who are you?" She stammered, forcing her voice to break through her fear. The silhouette remained silent, but she could see its eyes glimmering in the dim light, a predatory glint that sent ice running through her veins. Searching for the truth. It finally rasped, the voice chillingly familiar. It was the smooth, cold tone from her nightmares. "You shouldn't have come here. Suddenly, a rush of adrenaline surged through her. She couldn't be a victim, she had to protect her children. Sarah turned to flee, but the exit felt painfully distant. The looming shadows seemed to hinder her path, their whispers growing audibly urgent, wrapping around her like a noose. Her heart thundered as she stumbled backward, retreating into the clutter of the basement. With every step, the walls felt like they were closing in a claustrophobic prison spawned from the secrets Maplewood harbored. The figure advanced, and in a moment of despair, Sarah kicked over a dusty crate. Knickknacks and faded photographs tumbled out, a chaotic mess of lost time. Something caught her eye, a photograph of the Petersons, taken decades before. Their faces were frozen in joy, but behind them, an unmistakable dark shape loomed. She felt a chill climb her spine. Was that a figure standing just beyond the window? "Leave the past buried," the figure hissed, its breath hot against the back of her neck. Panic ignited, her fight-or-flight instinct kicked in. In a wild swing, she grasped an iron candlestick, eyes narrowed with determination. "Get away from me!" she shouted, surprising herself with the steadiness in her voice. The figure hesitated for a heartbeat, its upper body tilting slightly as if considering her threat. The basement moved in slow motion, and Sarah could hear her breath quicken, echoing in the oppressive silence. But she was never meant to be this brave. Before she even fully processed the reality of her actions, she swung the candlestick. It connected hard. The figure staggered back, momentarily disoriented, and Sarah seized her chance. She bolted for the door, praying it would hold, praying it would lead her back to safety. The basement door slammed shut behind her with a thunderous crash, the sound vibrating through her bones. She ran through the backyard, the chill of the night biting her skin. Heart pounding, she glanced back. The figure stood at the basement door, almost waiting, watching. When her feet finally hit the cold concrete of her kitchen floor, Sarah slammed the door and locked it, gasping for breath. But the ringing phone cut through the silence, its call invasive. She didn't even want to look, dread coiling in her gut. "Mommy?" It was her daughter's voice. Innocent. Unaware of the darkness surrounding them. "Lily. I'll be right there," Sarah called, forcing a semblance of calm. Tremors gripped her hands as she moved towards her daughter's room, but as she stepped into the hallway, a flicker of movement in the corner of her eye sent her heart into her throat. In the shadows, a figure loomed again, but much closer this time. No more hiding. No more pretending Maplewood was safe. "Sarah." The figure called softly, its voice seductively familiar. "Don't you want to know more?" And with that haunting question, she knew she was trapped in a nightmare that was just beginning. Would she have the strength to uncover the truth, or would the shadows consume her whole? The shadows danced around Sarah as the figure took a cautious step forward, its breath a low whisper that twisted through the darkness. "You can't run away from who you are, Sarah. The truth isn't just in the shadows, it's in your blood." She pressed her back against the cool kitchen wall, the texture rough against her skin. Hot panic coursed through her, but there was no room for fear now. She had to get to Lily. "Stay away from me," she shouted, voice cracking, but the figure only laughed, an unsettling sound that reverberated in the silence around her. It was deep and throaty, echoing with the taint of something ancient. "Mommy." Lily's voice called again, more urgent now, drawing Sarah like a moth to a flame. Ignoring the figure, she sprinted down the hallway, heart hammering in her chest. With every hurried footstep, the boards creaked under her weight. Her breath came in quick gasps, a rhythmic pattern interrupted only by the tightening grip of fear around her throat. She burst into Lily's room, a sanctuary that suddenly felt fragile. "Mommy. Why are you crying?" Lily's wide, terrified eyes blinked back at her, full of innocence and confusion. I'm not crying, sweetie. Come here." Sarah rushed to scoop her daughter into her arms, clutching her tightly, as if their combined warmth could push back the darkness creeping into the corners of the room, but the dread didn't leave, it settled heavier than before. From behind her, she heard it, a scrape, like nails on wood, pulling her focus. There it was again, the familiar voice, smooth as silk, yet laced with venom. "Lily, dear. Don't you want to join your mother in the shadows?" Chills danced along Sarah's spine, but she kept her focus on Lily. "We have to go, now," she urged, the urgency pushing her to the edge of control. She backed away from the door, but there was nowhere to run. "Mommy, I don't want to leave my room," Lily whined, unfurling her small hand to point at the shadow stretching across the hallway. Sarah turned, and her blood ran cold. The figure stood framed at the door, a dark sentinel against the faint light outside, a presence that felt alive, that breathed and pulsed with malevolence. "Look at this familiar face, Lily," it whispered, inching forward, its features twisting just enough to spark recognition. "You know her, don't you?" The world blurred around Sarah. Suddenly, memories surged back, images of laughter and family dinners displaced by an unshakable grip of horror. "No, get back!" she screamed, and with a surge of adrenaline, she pushed Lily behind her. "Mommy, please stay close," she gasped, feeling the cold tendrils of the figure reach into her mind, dragging up the buried pain of their past, the very thing she had vowed to protect her children from. As the figure advanced, shadows flickered, and for an instant, Sarah caught glimpses, fragments of faces, voices long buried. Whispers and cries intermingled with the laughter of the living. The truth swirled chaotically around her, every heartbeat a desperate plea to look deeper, but clarity was a luxury she couldn't afford. Adrenaline fueled her. She moved to the window, the only escape route left. "Hold on tight, Lily," she shouted, clutching her daughter close, ready to leap into the unknown. Just as she was about to jump, the figure lunged forward. "You can't escape your past," it thundered, and the walls trembled under the force of its voice. With a terrifying shatter, the glass exploded outward, and they fell into the dark night. But the horror didn't stop there. As Sarah landed on the cold grass outside, her breath knocked out of her, a realization washed over her. The nightmare was just beginning, and it was hunting her family. What would the figure reveal next? Would uncovering the truth finally set them free, or would it seal their doom? The landing jolted them, cold grass prickled under Sarah's palms as she gasped for breath. Immediate chaos surrounded her. The faint glow from the house flickered like a dying star behind them, shadows steeped in despair. Lily clung to her, wide-eyed and trembling, the innocence of childhood shattered. "We have to hide," Sarah urged, scanning the yard for a place to shield them. The old oak tree loomed to the left, its branches twisting like skeletal fingers against the moonlight. "Over there." She pointed, her heart racing as Lily nodded, fear weaving through her small frame. They darted toward the tree, the darkness swallowing them. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, a steady drumbeat resonating with her terror. The air felt thick and alive, prickling the back of her neck. With each step, the night whispered, brushing against her skin like icy fingers. Sarah held her breath, listening. The silence felt charged, almost mocking. The figure could come for them at any moment. She squeezed Lily's hand, the little girl's warmth anchoring her as uncertainty surged, a ghostly reminder of their peril. Then came a rustle, a familiar laughter drifting through the night, piercing her resolve like a knife. "Run, little ones. Where can you hide?" It echoed hollowly, and Sarah recoiled at the sound. "Mommy, I'm scared," Lily whimpered, looking up with quivering lips. "I know, sweetie. Just stay close." But Sarah's stomach nodded, twisting with dread as they crouched low under the tree's gnarled roots. Fear clawed at her. What didn't she know about that shadow? What had happened before? As if in response, an image suddenly flashed in Sarah's mind, a faded photograph of a family reunion, laughter frozen in time. Faces she thought long buried surfaced like specters. The figure had whispered truths that echoed against her sanity. "It's in your blood." The words spiraled in her mind, mixing with the haunting familiarity of each face that spun, twisted into something grotesque. Mommy, Lily's voice broke through the haze, bringing Sarah back to the present. "Can we go home?" "Home?" The word hit like a punch. The safe haven she had tried to build for Lily was no more. "We can't go back," Sarah whispered. In that agonizing moment, she felt the ground tremble under her, faint but undeniable. A tremor, rippling with each heartbeat, each breath. And then, there it was, a dark shape forming in the shadows, a silhouette slowly advancing. "Did you think you could leave me behind?" The figure's voice warped through the air, a malignant purr that coiled around Sarah's heart, squeezing it tight. "Stay down," she hissed, shielding Lily protectively with her body. They held their breath, praying the thick darkness would cloak them from the world and, possibly, from the figure, a specter of their past. That it moved closer, the scent of decay filling the air, wrapping around them with a suffocating embrace. Sarah's mind raced, desperately trying to piece together the cryptic puzzle. What was this figure? What did it want? Every second felt like eternity while the figure loomed. "I am part of you," it hissed, and panic shot through Sarah, sharp as a blade. "You cannot outrun me." Just as the figure stretched a shadowy limb, a blinding light flashed, headlights piercing through the night, lightning against the grasping darkness. A distant car. Hope ignited briefly within her. "Mommy?" Lily breathed. "Stay down," Sarah pleaded. But the moment was fleeting. Shadows shifted, retreating as the figure suddenly dissolved into the dark. The headlights blinked out, leaving an unsettling quiet in their wake. What had just happened? Had it retreated, or was it laying in wait? "Are we safe?" Lily's whispered question quivered through the chilled silence. I don't know," Sarah admitted, her heart racing. Then, out of the stillness, the laughter erupted once more, chilling in its finality, echoing around them. "Trust me, you haven't seen the last of me," it sang, sinking into the shadows, and Sarah's breath caught in her throat. What was coming next? And how would she protect Lily if the darkness was closer than she ever feared? The silence stretched, heavy and oppressive, as if the world had turned to stone. Sarah's heart hammered against her chest, the echo merging with the distant call of the night. She glanced down, searching Lily's face for any semblance of reassurance, but the little girl's eyes were wide, reflecting the moonlight like twin pools of fear. "Mommy?" Lily whispered again, her voice trembling like the breeze rustling through the leaves. "I'm here, sweetie," Sarah replied softly, forcing herself to sound calm. But how can she keep them both safe with the darkness creeping closer? She could still feel it, lurking just beyond the shelter of the tree. "Do you think it's gone?" Lily's small fingers dug into Sarah's arm, grounding her in that moment of rising panic. I don't know," she admitted again, swallowing hard. The laughter that had echoed moments before felt like a taunt. Each breath she took felt like a betrayal of peace, smothered by uncertainty. Then a crunch broke the stillness, the unmistakable sound of footsteps on dry leaves. Sarah's heart lurched anew, instantly alert. She raised her head, peering through the shadows. "Mommy," Lily began, but Sarah shushed her firmly, leaning closer to the ground. The footsteps quickened, approaching with a dreadful purpose. A chill raced down Sarah's spine, fear clawing at her throat. Suddenly, a figure burst through the foliage, illuminated momentarily by a flicker of moonlight. It was a woman, tattered clothes hanging from her thin frame, hair wild and matted. Her eyes were wide and empty, a gaze full of raw, unfiltered madness. "Help me!" she shrieked, a voice that seemed to ripple with pain. "It's coming for you." "What?" Sarah backed away instinctively, holding Lily closer. "Don't let it find you," the woman continued, her voice filled with wild desperation. But before Sarah could process her words, the woman turned abruptly, darting back into the shadows, her form swallowed instantly by the night. "What was that?" Lily whimpered, her body trembling against Sarah's. "I don't know," Sarah whispered, panic flooding her senses. It felt like the woman had been a messenger, a warning, or perhaps a trick. "We need to move. We can't stay here." They took their first cautious steps away from the tree, eyes darting in every direction, searching. The night was alive with sounds now, branches snapping in the distance, a low moan faintly carried by the wind. "Where do we go?" Lily asked, her voice tiny against the growing darkness. "Anywhere but here," Sarah said, forcing her feet to move. They stepped softly into the moonlit yard, tension electrifying the air around them. Each shadow felt alive, each rustle a harbinger of doom. Then, just as a sense of direction began to form, there came the laughter again. This time, much closer. The haunting notes wrapped around them like smoke, curling into Sarah's lungs, blending with the scent of decay. "I'm here." The voice purred sultrily. "Why do you run?" "Run!" Sarah shouted suddenly, pulling Lily along as she sprinted toward the scattered remnants of their childhood playground, a broken swing set and a rusting slide looming like forgotten sentinels. The laughter transformed, morphing into mocking applause, as if deriding their desperate flight. Shadows pooled in swirling patterns at its base, shifting with an energy that was almost sentient. "Mommy, it's here." "I know." Sarah's voice cracked, fear propelling her. But where was their refuge? There had to be something. She remembered the tools shed their last bastion against the darkness. They dashed toward it, heart pounding, the world blurring around their movements. Just a few more steps, but the shadows thickened, swirling, racing ahead of them. And then, the figure appeared, the dark entity materializing, stretching its ghastly limbs, twisting toward them. "Did you forget me already?" It crooned, a malicious glee coloring its tone. "Get inside!" Sarah screamed, shoving Lily toward the door. As they stumbled inside, slamming it shut behind them, a deafening roar filled the air, shaking the walls like thunder. "What now?" Lily's voice trembled, her eyes wide with terror. "Now we figure out how to survive," Sarah replied, her heart racing. Just then, the door rattled violently, and the sound of manic laughter filled the shed. The shadows outside hissed, rising as if reaching for them, clawing against the wood. The darkness was relentless, and the terror pulsed like a living thing. As the laughter escalated, punctuated by sinister whispers, Sarah realized the fight had only just begun. But what if they weren't alone in there? Was something else hiding in the shadows of the shed, waiting to make its move? The air inside the shed was thick and damp, pressing down on Sarah and Lily like a suffocating blanket. The jagged metal edges of the tools leaned menacingly against the walls, and the darkness felt heavier, almost alive. Every creak and groan seemed to resonate with hidden dread, echoing their unspoken fears. "Mommy, I don't like it here," Lily whimpered, her small form curling against the wall, seeking comfort in the familiar smell of oil and damp wood. "We'll be okay," Sarah assured, though her voice lacked conviction. She strained to hear through the rattling door, desperate for a sign of safety. But outside, only that twisted laughter persisted. "Why won't it go away?" Lily's gaze darted around the cramped space, her tiny breaths quickening. "I don't know, honey," Sarah answered, her mind racing. With each echo of laughter, a deeper worry gnawed at her. Was the entity outside just the surface of something worse? A sharp scraping sound jolted her from her thoughts. She turned, her heart pounding wildly. The darkness at the back of the shed had begun to swirl, like a living cloud, twisting and folding in on itself. In the absence of light, it formed a shape that loomed, darker than the shadows surrounding it. "Stay close to me," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. She squeezed Lily's hand tighter, feeling the tremors that raced through her small body. Whatever was out there, it could sense their fear. Suddenly, the door rattled again, more violently, as if something on the other side was testing its strength. "You're not alone," the entity's voice murmur inflected, slithering into her consciousness, twisting around her like ivy suffocating a tree. "Mommy, I'm scared," Lily cried, her wide eyes glistening in the dim light. With each blast of laughter from beyond the door, Sarah felt the walls of sanity begin to close in. "Stay quiet, Lily." Just a little longer, she urged, tightening her grip even more, but just then, a cold wind swept through the tiny gaps in the wooden planks, carrying a whisper. She strained to listen. "Let me in, it wants to get inside," she breathed, a chill dancing along her spine. "We can't let it." She frantically scanned the shed for anything they could use. Lily's gaze flickered to her right, where a loose plank seemed out of place. "Mommy, look." Sarah's breath hitched as she saw it too. "Help me," she instructed Lily, her heart racing as they approached the loose board. They tugged at it and it pulled free, revealing a narrow, dark tunnel behind. "Mommy, it's dark." Lily protested, her voice tinged with both fear and curiosity. "We have to, Lily. It's the only way." Sarah's determination surged. With no time to waste, she glanced back at the writhing shadows by the door, feeling the darkness inching ever closer, as if it could smell their panic. "On 3, we jump in, okay?" Lily nodded, clenching her eyes shut for a heartbeat. 1, 2, 3. They dove into the hole, plunging into the unknown, the world above fading to silence behind them. The tunnel felt infinite, a cold void that swallowed sounds and warmth. Sarah wrapped her arms around Lily tightly. "We have to keep going," she whispered, fear flooding her veins. "Mommy, what if it finds us?" Lily asked, her small voice trembling. "We're safe for now," Sarah replied, though she could feel the shadows reaching, the laughter hollow and cruel echoing faintly through the tunnel. But uncertainty clawed at her. What lay ahead? Then, a whisper floated down from the darkness ahead. "You can't escape me." An icy dread settled deep inside Sarah. Would they truly escape? And what awaited them at the other end? As they pressed forward into the crushing darkness, the certainty of terror loomed, a confrontation with something unspeakable, beyond their wildest fears. Was this a descent into hell, or the beginning of something more horrifying? The tunnel seemed to stretch out endlessly like a living nightmare, each second dragging on as darkness enveloped them completely. Sarah could feel her heartbeat thundering in her ears, a frantic drum of terror. She pulled Lily tighter against her, whispering reassurances, though every word felt like a hollow echo. As they crawled deeper into the abyss, the air grew colder and thicker. A faint, chilling breeze brushed against her face, making her shiver. Sarah couldn't shake the sensation that something was lurking just beyond their sight, watching them inch forward, waiting for the right moment to strike. "Mommy, I don't want to be here," Lily sobbed, her voice echoing into the void and hitting Sarah like a physical blow. "I know, sweetheart, but we have to keep going. We can't go back." Each word she spoke sent a ripple of fear coursing through her, the reality of their situation settling like a weight in her stomach. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shifted. Sarah caught her breath as the tunnel tilted, forcing them to slide down a slick surface that felt alive with malice. She dug her fingers into the rough edges, trying to steady herself, but it was no use. They fell, landing with a thud in a small, dark chamber. "Are you okay, Lily?" Sarah asked, her voice cracking as she frantically assessed their surroundings. "I think so," Lily replied, her voice small and shaky. Their eyes adjusted to the dim light filtering through cracks in the chamber walls. With trembling hands, Sarah reached for Lily. "Stay close. We need to find a way out." The shadows danced ominously, flickering as if some unseen force was building a picture from darkness that threatened to come alive. Walls covered in grotesque carvings reached out to them, drawn in what looked like dried blood. Sarah's stomach churned, the horrifying images pushing the boundaries of her sanity. It was as if the tunnel they had just come through had swallowed them into a nightmare, its edges spitting them out into something worse. The laughter they had escaped began to echo again, a low, menacing sound reverberating through the chamber. It mingled with whispers that slipped through the cracks, forming words just beyond comprehension. "They're never going to let you leave." The voice slithered into Sarah's mind, thick with malice, taunting her. "Mommy!" Lily screamed, her face terror-stricken as the laughter rose around them, building like a storm. "Listen!" Sarah gasped, suddenly alert. There was a rhythm to the sound, almost like a chant. Could it be a way out? We have to follow it, Lily. It's a way to. Before she could finish, the walls pulsated. The screeches intensified, forming a claustrophobic grip on Sarah's chest. Whatever was out there was no longer just venomous laughter. The whispers swirled through the air, gathering force and shape, a tangible malevolence. Keep moving. Sarah urged, grabbing Lily's hand as she began to run, eyes wide in the darkness. Each step echoed down the hallway, the sound amplifying their panic, grinding into the fraying edges of Sarah's composure. As they raced deeper, the laughter morphed, shifting into something darker, more sinister. You invited me in, it cooed. Now you belong to me. At that moment, Sarah felt the floor tremble beneath her. The chamber seemed to shudder with an overpowering force, and Sarah stumbled, almost losing her grip on Lily. No. We can't. We won tea. She cried, dragging Lily close as she turned to run back. But behind them, the shadows surged forward, greedily reaching, clawing toward the light of their fading hope. In a final desperate push, they scrambled toward a faint glimmer that pierced the smothering darkness ahead, not knowing if it was salvation or doom. Would they find safety, or were they only leading themselves into the waiting jaws of an unspeakable horror? The oppressive heart of the darkness beat behind them, urging them forward into the unknown. The light flickered just ahead. Sarah could hear it calling their names, luring them, promising refuge. But what lay beyond that glimmer? And would the darkness let them go? As they closed in on the light, the sinister laughter echoed once more. You'll always be with me. What awaited them there? The mystery deepened, and the choice became clear: cross into the light, or remain forever shrouded in shadow. They lunged toward the light, hearts pounding and minds racing. With every step, the shadows receded slightly, but the echo of laughter spiraled in their ears, filling Sarah with dread. Just a bit further, she urged, the encouraging words ringing hollow in her throat as they propelled themselves into the blinding brightness. A sudden rush enveloped them, warmth wrapped around their shivering frames. But as Sarah's eyes adjusted, her relief flickered and dimmed. They were no longer in a tunnel, but in an expansive cavern lit by a crystalline glow. Glistening stalactites hung like jagged teeth from the ceiling, and the floor sparkled with fragments that seemed to pulse beneath their feet. Mommy? Lily's voice trembled, stepping forward cautiously. What is this place? I don't know, Sarah whispered, trepidation washing over her. She scanned the cavern. The light refracted around them, creating an unsettling kaleidoscope of colors that twisted and turned. But lurking in the corners of the cave were shadows that didn't reflect the glow, sinister shapes lurking just out of sight. Stay close to me, Sarah warned, clutching Lily's hand tightly. The eerie stillness pressed upon them like a weight, stifling her breath. Ahead, the air shimmered strangely. Voices drifted through the distortion, murmuring in a language that felt ancient and cursed. She strained to understand, but each attempt only pushed the meaning further away, the words slippery like cold fish. The laughter of the unseen grew louder, blending with the whispering voices, a maddening symphony that clawed at her sanity. Mommy, I don't like this, Lily whimpered, glancing around anxiously. The child's fear was palpable, and Sarah felt her own heart sink. She needed to find a way out, fast. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shifting shadows, tall and gaunt, with a face obscured by darkness. Cold dread swept through her. Its presence seemed to suck the warmth from the cavern. You have come here seeking light, but light demands a price, the figure hissed, its voice a chilling echo that vibrated through Sarah's bones. What price? She shouted, instinctively stepping in front of Lily, her instincts flaring. They couldn't afford to lose this battle. Your soul, the creature replied, extending long, bony fingers that twisted and coiled, as if beckoning from the depths of some unfathomable abyss. No. Sarah screamed, disbelief coursing through her. You can't have us. But there was no denying the terror that gripped her heart, nor could she ignore the creeping sensation of being ensnared. The cavern pulsed as if alive with dark energy, and the laughter crescendoed around them, a malevolent tide rising against them. Leave now or embrace the dark, it whispered, the shadows around it swirling eagerly as if preparing to devour them whole. "Run!" Sarah shrieked, grabbing Lily's hand and sprinting in the opposite direction. The cavern path twisted and turned, the warm light flickering out as they retreated deeper into shadow, which wrapped around them like a shroud. But the figure was relentless, a dark specter swirling in pursuit. Its guttural laughter echoed, each chilling sound a reminder of their dwindling hope. "You will never escape what you've awakened." It taunted, a venomous promise that sent ice coursing through Sarah's veins. As they fled, Sarah's mind raced. How had they piqued its interest? The laughter, could it have meant something more sinister than childish games? She couldn't remember, but something inside her screamed for the truth. Even as they ventured deeper into despair, then they stumbled upon an archway, framed by strange symbols. Beyond lay an expanse of darkness, promising a more profound horror, yet it felt like the only way to evade the pale predator chasing them. Do they confront the monster behind them or risk the void ahead? With Lily's tears glistening in her eyes, Sarah took a deep breath. "We have to go through," she breathed, uncertain but resolute, and in that moment, as they crossed under the arch, the world shifted, and shadows converged around them, the darkness beckoning once again. What lay in wait? The laughter faded but echoed still, their destiny intertwined with secrets buried long ago. The moment they stepped through the archway, Sarah's heart dropped. The darkness enveloped them like a heavy fog, pressing against her throat, wrapping around her mind. There was no more crystalline glow, no pulsating light. It was as if they had crossed into another realm, one where shadows were solid and whispers felt like fingers sliding against her skin. "Mommy, I'm scared," Lily said, her voice a soft tremor quivering in the thick air. "Shoo," Sarah replied, her own voice shaky, fighting the suffocating fear that clawed at her. She couldn't let Lily sense her panic. She had to keep it together. They needed to find shelter, anything to shield them from the darkness pursuing them like a beast hungry for their essence. "Don't look back," she said, dragging Lily deeper into the obscurity of the tunnel they now traversed. Each step echoed ominously, swallowed by the weight of nothingness that spanned around them. Even the laughter had vanished, replaced by a silence so heavy it felt alive, pressing against their ears. Suddenly, a slight shimmer caught her attention. Just ahead, a flicker of light broke through the endless dark, an almost imperceptible glow that seemed to beckon them closer. Sarah hesitated, instinctively feeling the pull of valor and dread at war within her chest. She held Lily's hand tight and moved toward it cautiously. As they approached, the small glimmer grew, revealing a wall of swirling mist. The light shifted inside it, casting fleeting shadows that danced like tortured souls. At the heart of the mist, Sarah could almost make out shapes, figures, visions of a past long forgotten. "What is that?" Lily whispered, eyes wide in fear mixed with curiosity. "Stay close," Sarah urged, drawing Lily's small frame nearer. The atmosphere thrummed in response, like a heartbeat resonating through the air. Something was alive in the mist, something that knew they were there. "Mommy," Lily tugged at her arm, but Sarah was transfixed. She could almost hear voices again, dulcet and haunting. They slipped through the cracks of the glimmer, enticing her with twisted promises. As if sensing her hesitation, the mist began to churn violently. The voices intensified, growing frantic and pleading, echoes of despair scraping against her mind. Join us," they urged, as shadows writhed in an agonizing dance, twisting around the flickering light. "No!" Sarah cried out, snapping back to reality. She couldn't let the shadows claim them. Without thinking, she pulled Lily away from the intoxicating whispers. The mist recoiled as they stepped back, and for a fleeting moment, it felt like an escape. The voices quieted, lulled into a desperate silence, but the cavern trembled beneath their feet as if angered. Then she saw it, figures emerging from the darkness, faces ghastly and twisted, all reaching out with skeletal hands, eyes filled with unquenchable hunger. Terror engulfed her. She turned, sprinting back into the blackness, dragging Lily along. "Run! Faster!" Sarah shouted, the weight of their pursuit kicking her adrenaline into overdrive. The churning shadows lurked close behind, snatching at the air, brushing against her back, hungry for the warmth of life. Just as she thought they might find safe refuge, an ear-splitting wail erupted from the depths, resonating through the cavern like a banshee's cry. Sarah stumbled, her foot catching on an unseen rock, and they both fell hard onto the cold, damp ground. "Mommy!" Lily screamed, panic rising as black tendrils reached for them, undulating with malicious intent. "Get up!" Sarah yelled, gripping Lily's arm and pulling her to her feet. They had to keep moving, had to survive this madness. The whispers fluttered around them like lost spirits, tormenting, taunting. They had to find another way out before the darkness consumed them entirely. Ahead, another archway loomed, more symbols, more unknowns. In that moment, a choice flickered before them. Do they face the ominous unknown beyond the archway or turn to confront the howling shadows racing for their warmth? There was no time to think. With a final glance in Lily's eyes, Sarah propelled herself forward, and they dashed through the archway, into whatever fate awaited them on the other side. As they crossed the threshold, the shadows closed in, their laughter returning, chilling and triumphant. What more terrifying truths lie waiting in the depths of the darkness? What secrets were still left to unveil? The air felt charged, a palpable electricity that crackled around Sarah and Lily as they tumbled through the archway into a new chamber. This one was different. A strange, luminous glow bathed the room in colors that melted into one another, shades of lavender and cobalt swirling like watercolor on canvas. "Where are we?" Lily whispered, her voice a soft tremor that echoed in the vastness. "I don't know, sweetie," Sarah replied, forcing calm despite her racing heart. Just behind them, the shadows thrashed at the threshold, frantically clawing for a way through. The laughter still lingered, a sinister melody that played on her nerves like a well-tuned instrument. "Look!" Lily pointed, her little finger trembling. Ahead, a shimmering figure stepped forward through the mist, taking shape like a dream materializing into focus. It was a woman, ethereal and radiant, with deep, knowing eyes that sparkled like distant stars. But the familiarity of her presence snapped Sarah's breath short. This was no ordinary spirit. "Sarah," the woman spoke softly, her tone both soothing and urgent. "You're not lost, but you must fight against the darkness that seeks to reclaim you." Who are you?" Sarah stammered, taking a step back, instinctively clutching Lily closer. "I am a guardian, someone from your past." The woman gestured with an outstretched hand. "You were always meant to stand against the shadows." Tension hung in the air, thick like fog. Sarah's pulse raced. "You know about the figure, don't you? Why is it after us? It craves what it lost long ago, a darkness intertwined with your own lineage," the woman murmured, her gaze piercing into Sarah's heart, "a secret buried deep within your family, one you must confront. You must embrace knowledge and truth to free your daughter and yourself. Help us." Lily cried out, eyes wide with hope. But as she did, the shadows surged forward, grasping, eager to snatch back what they had let go. "Listen to me." The guardian pressed, urgency rising in her voice. "To break this cycle, you must face your fears. This place reveals the truth that binds you. Only then can you find your way to the light." "My fears?" Sarah echoed, confusion clouding her thoughts. I don't understand. Every dark secret hides a thread of power," the guardian explained, as shadows clawed just behind her protective glow. "You must draw from that power, face the reality of your family's past. Embrace it to defeat the figure following you." Then, without warning, the shadows lunged forward, surging over the guardian. Her form flickered and twisted, a grimace slipping across her face as the predator began to consume her light. "No!" Sarah screamed, her heart aghast. The darkness had grown stronger. Fear clawed at her mind, twisting her resolve. "Lily, we have to find what we are missing," she shouted, her voice trembling but fierce. "We have to uncover the truth. It's the only way." In that moment, a distant memory flickered to life, fragments of conversations her mother had, the sounds of whispers tangled within tales of their heritage. Sarah felt the weight of her own history pressing on her, a tapestry woven with dark threads she had tried to forget. "Mommy, I'm scared," Lily whimpered, gripping her hand tighter. "Stay close, baby," she said, setting her jaw, determination forging itself through her fear. They turned away from the flickering shadows and the outline of the guardian who had become consumed, the air filling with a twisted satisfaction from the darkness. "Follow the light." The guardianess voice echoed, a final plea that sent shivers down her spine. "In the light, you will find it." And then they ran deeper into the chamber, breathless, the colors swirling around them as the shadows recoiled in slow pursuit. "Where is the light?" Lily asked breathlessly, glancing around as if it might reveal itself. "Somewhere ahead, we'll find it. Here." Sarah pointed to an arch that glimmered faintly at the opposite wall, the symbols on it glowing like embers urging them onward. As they sprinted toward it, the laughter returned, the sinister voice weaving through the air. "With delirious joy. You cannot escape me." It jeered mockingly. "Faster," Sarah urged, her body burning with adrenaline as they neared the glowing exit. The moment they reached the archway, a blinding light erupted, washing over them with warmth and clarity, bathing the shadows in a fierce radiance. Sarah shielded Lily with her body, feeling the energy surging all around as illusion turned into vibrant reality. "We will break this curse together," she whispered, her heart steadying in conviction. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the light, her fears igniting into courage. The shadows screeched, caught momentarily in the brilliance before dissolving into wisps, losing their grip on the warmth that shone bright in the chamber. Suddenly, multiple images flashed around them: happy family gatherings, long-lost faces smiling back, intertwined with darker visions of despair and sadness. The cycle of pain unraveled before her, revealing her own power, her own legacy to reconcile. "Mommy!" Lily gasped, pointing at the images swirling around them, capturing moments both joyous and heartbreaking. "What is that?" "I don't know. I think it's our story," Sarah panted, eyes wide in realization. "Focus on the light." The guardianess echo resonated deep within, urging them to stand strong. In that moment, Sarah felt the truth coalesce, the strength to confront the looming figure and the family secrets buried for so long. They were there to find the truth. Fears must be embraced and faced in order to heal. Together, Sarah squeezed her daughter's hand tighter, feeling the warmth of their love cut through shadows. "Let us move towards the light. We'll face this together." And side by side, they stepped into the radiance, confronting the darkness that threatened to pull them back, ready to embrace their truths, armed with love, resolve, and the strength of past generations. With one final leap, they surged into the light, ready to break free from the shadows once and for all. In that cosmic embrace, filled with hopes and dreams intertwined with terrors, they understood, the shadows could not touch them any longer. They had faced fear, embraced truth, and emerged triumphant. As the light enveloped them completely, shattering the remaining ties that clung to their souls, Sarah felt her heart whisper back to her this was not just a battle won, but a legacy rewritten and a future unbound. Sarah and Lily glowed, shimmering against the darkness that had haunted their lives for so long, free at last, and as light emerged beyond the archway, they stepped into a world that promised healing, love, and endless possibilities. You need to subscribe now if you don't want to miss more exclusive stories that will change how you see the world. Smash that like button now to push us into the algorithm, and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions, your theories about the ending, and what you felt during that crazy ride. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who also need to experience this conclusion. Only true fans understand how important it is to support the channel.